All right, we're live. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Hey everyone, it's Ian McCausland. Here I am live. I'm just kind of paying attention to the app as well. As many of you know, I've had a lot of fun playing with this Facebook Live Mevo camera that I'm shooting with right now. Again, it's switching to a wider view, so I'm just going to try and keep this a little tighter. As you can tell, I'm not here at the studio this morning. I'm actually on location here at Dufresne Furniture and Appliance on Ellis. We're here live inside their brand new demonstration kitchen, I guess we would call it. It's an amazing space, as you can see. I'll cut back to the live view. You can see this huge, amazing space dedicated to hosting all sorts of live events. So you're going to find out very soon why I'm here. So that's kind of exciting. We've got 5 people already online. Hey! So anyways, it's been a busy weekend. If many of you who are following me know that I was using this camera at the Manitoba Leadership Convention. A great application of live video. So we've had a lot of fun with that. I'm going to get right into why I'm here, I think, because I think that's probably easier than me just rambling on about stuff. Again, I'm just doing the Jerry Todd switching live in front of you thing. That's a obscure SCTV reference for those of you who are wondering. My friend Shel to come on set here so that we can talk a little bit about why we're here. First of all, there you are.
I'm on the Carol Burnett
I know,
show.
right? It's like here.
We'll slide right in. Yeah, here we are.
So, for the benefit of everyone who's following me but isn't familiar with what you do, just tell everybody what you're all about.
Nothing. I do nothing well.
Yeah, right.
I'm actually a journalist by trade, for those of you that didn't know that. I also want to mention that Ian and I have been friends for 30 years.
A long time.
More than 30 years.
A long time.
We met each other when I was working at the weekly newspapers and Ian came in as a stringer to shoot some photos. So that is going way, way back, and we have done a million things in between, and this is sort of our latest thing. So, as I said, I'm a journalist by trade. Been at this game for more than 3 decades, I guess. And in that time, you sort of evolve and you do different things. So I've been a writer and an editor, all kinds of stuff like that. Lately, really into the food scene. So that's kind of why we're here today. I am a food stylist, a food blogger, a food writer. I develop recipes for folks, and I cook on TV quite a bit. And that's how we got to be at the studio here in the Dufresne kitchen. Shot a couple episodes for Global here, and as you guys can see, absolutely beautiful space.
Sorry, I'm not paying attention to you. I'm actually just monitoring the live.
I know when you're not
paying attention. The live stream. And the camera's kind of wonking out. I apologize if the 8 people who are watching live right now, it's kind of going all over the place. Again, still kind of emerging technology. We're still figuring it out. So why don't we talk a little bit about where you were this past weekend and some of the things that you learned.
So this weekend, traveled to Ottawa for the Food Bloggers of Canada conference. It was my first time at the conference. I was there, sponsored by Burnbrae Eggs, which was great, Burnbrae Farms. And just, it's one of those things when you work in a lot of these creative pursuits, a lot of the time you're alone, right? You're in your studio, you're in your house. So it was great to connect with people who you didn't have to explain to them that when the food came, you had to keep your hands off of it so you could photograph it first, right? So that was really great. And we had such great speakers, really enthusiastic folks, and really, really inspirational for me. So
where was it again?
It was in Ottawa. And so I had a little bit of time actually on Saturday afternoon to go and explore the Parliament buildings and Byward Market and buy some cheese, of course.
So who all attended this event?
So the Food Bloggers of Canada is sort of a big community, and this conference, it was their 5th year actually, and people buy tickets well in advance. It's a very coveted ticket to go to this. So we had 150 food bloggers from across the country who came to this. And when I say food bloggers, that's really sort of a wide, reference. There's people who do videos only. They don't actually blog. They're video people. There's people like myself who are food stylists or who cook on TV. There's people who are involved in food development, bringing products to market. So a really great community of people, and there were some people who had just started blogging 2 months ago. So a real wide variety of folks.
What was the most interesting thing you saw over the weekend
at the conference?
Yeah.
I think the takeaway, we had lots of different speakers and motivational folks, and there was a couple gals who actually, Lindsay and Dana. This was their book called Feast, and I don't know if anyone remembers,
I'm
but
gonna zoom in on this
yeah,
thing here.
about 3 years ago, they actually came through Winnipeg and they did a cross Canada road trip. So these two gals just decided that they were going to do this and explore food culture in Canada. They had no money. So, they went to a whole bunch of sponsors. Things weren't working out. They actually started a little bit of campaign. They ended up with $10,000, which wasn't near enough to get them across the country, but they did it anyway. They went in a Yaris and they drove across the country.
It'd be good on gas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? So their message was kind of just do it.
Yeah.
You know what? You don't have to have all the blocks in place before you start something, and I think this really applies to everybody and anyone.
It certainly applies to what we're doing right here.
Because we have no idea what we're doing.
As you can see, we're making stuff up as we go along, and it's a little bit, fly by the seat of your pants. But I think I love that sentiment. That it's just, the idea is you just start something and improve as you go along. Right?
And learn as you go along. They made the point, and they said, if we would have known 3 years ago when we got in that Yaris that there was a book deal in the future, we would have laughed because that was ridiculous.
Would they have gotten in the car?
Exactly.
Right?
So it was really sort of this testament to, just take a little bit of a leap and do things.
Yeah.
I think we're in a day and an age where it kind of works,
Yeah.
Just be a little bit brave. And that message was really repeated over and over. We had a couple of bloggers, a gal who has a YouTube site called Hot Thai Kitchen. And again, she started making videos 3 or 4 years ago, terrible videos, as she says, and she learned as she went. She refined her tool, she refined her message, and now she's really successful doing that. So
we've had a few comments come in, and I see one of them was your brother Brad saying that at least now he knows exactly what you do for a living.
And Brad, if you could tell Mom, that would be great, because I still think she's on the fence with this whole thing. I don't know what she thinks we do. So
that's great.
Isn't that true though? When you work in these creative fields, people are like, "What do you do all day? Like, do you take pictures all day yet?"
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little bit more to it than that.
So what's the big food trend that is coming from out east that we haven't seen here yet?
So we had, it was interesting. One of our, Dana McCauley was one of our speakers, and she actually talked about sort of what's happening in trends. So a few things, if I could sort of remember off the top here. And these, she was talking about in terms of food production and people bringing products to market. So one of them was sweet. So anything that's sweet, and I mean, we've certainly seen this in cupcakes and donuts and all that, but the difference now is that it is sweets with alternative sugars, so molasses as sweeteners or agave and these kinds of things. So no added sugars. So, Dana just helped an Ontario company bring a product to market that was a ketchup that was sweetened with carrots, I think, or something. It was sort of that no sugar added. So these are for people who are looking to incorporate things into their diet without that added white sugar sort of component. So that was really hot. Proteins was really hot, and alternative proteins than meat. So of course we all love our pulses, our lentils, peas and beans, right? That was really big. Things like eggs, huge. Any kind of soy product, so a product called tempeh. Have you ever heard of tempeh?
No.
Okay, so it's a soy product. I actually had it for the first time on Friday, incorporated into a Reuben sandwich. You'd never know you're not eating real meat. Delicious stuff, really versatile. So those were a couple of the things that are coming to market. And so many small scale producers, people bringing spice mixes to markets and, the ready to go meals and all that kind of stuff. So lots going on in terms of trends.
Sounds like a pretty productive weekend.
Yeah, my head's still kind of floating with all this stuff.
Definitely Monday.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about what we're going to do next Monday.
Okay.
So next Monday, we're going to be back here in this beautiful space, but we're going to actually sort of work on a project that you're kind of passionate about. So maybe tell everybody about what you're going to be doing.
Okay, I don't know if I'm passionate about this,
well,
but here's the deal, folks. Here's the deal.
You will be.
Ian, for the last 30 years, has been kicking my ass. Can I say ass?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Facebook. You
So he
can do
kicks
whatever.
my ass all the time. He's sort of my tech support guy, but more than that, my inspirational guy. And we've been talking about doing projects together since the beginning. And we always go, yeah, that's great. Or I say, yeah, that's great. And then he says, do it, just do it. And you got that message from.
Well, um, I'm a pretty engaged follower with a whole bunch of different people, but I know, we've talked about this. I follow Gary Vaynerchuk, and his big sentiment was, um, ideas are a dime a dozen, but execution is key. And that's a sentiment that I've tried to instill in Shell quite a bit. I know we've been talking for a number of years of trying to do something like this. The technology since then, and the adoption of this technology has gone up. I mean, I think back to when we first talked about this, maybe even 3 years ago?
At least.
3 years
at
ago,
least.
it was still, kind of a new
We didn't
thing.
know how we were going to shoot
Right.
it, what we were going to shoot it on. Did we have to do a bunch of editing
Right.
and all those kinds of questions?
Now we have technology like this Mevo camera, and the bandwidth to support it, and also the idea that people are eager to engage with this kind of content.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do?
So here's the big reveal. Here we go. We're launching something called the Shel Show. And I'm a huge fan of the Carol Burnett Show, or it was back in the 60s, 70s.
You've now dated yourself.
If you guys don't know how old I am, just zoom in and you'll see. So the Shel Show, basically it is a variety show. We are going to do this weekly. It's going to run for 20 to 25 minutes. We're going to have 4 segments in the show. It's going to be very food focused, but I'm not going to limit myself to that. We're going to kind of open the door if we want to talk about the books we love, or movies that we've seen, or what's going on in the world in terms of trends, maybe a little bit of decor, maybe a little bit of fashion, who knows. So food with a little bit of the other things that make life kind of great. So that's
Cool.
what we're going to do.
So we're going to, the pilot episode, I guess we can call it, is going to happen next Monday, and we've what time did we say
We're
we were
going to do Monday, 1 p.m. Central Time, and we're doing it here at the Dufresne Kitchen.
Right.
As you can see, it's a beautiful, beautiful space. I've shot lots of television segments here and done some food styling work here. So a big shout out to the folks at Dufresne for letting us use this fabulous space to do this. So our show's gonna, like I said, kind of sort of that variety show vibe. We're gonna divide it into 4 segments. So the first one is called Cook Everything. And I will actually be doing a cooking demonstration. Why did I call it Cook Everything? Well, I'm kind of a proponent about, I'm a non-denominational cook, I like to say. I'm okay with using frozen pie crusts and jarred pasta sauces and the occasional packaged goods to bring it in. I'm not a purist in any sense. So, I don't say only buy fresh vegetables or only buy organic this and that and never use anything from a package. My thinking on this is that, you know what, if you're going to put a meal on the table for folks, sometimes you do need some shortcuts, and that's okay, and don't beat yourself up about that.
Cool.
Yeah. The second segment is going to be called What's New in the Kitchen. So when we get to that next week, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do for that. Basically, it's going to focus on anything that might be new. Some of those trends we were talking about might be a new product, a new gadget, a new way to do things, so kind of leaving that open. The third one is a segment called Drink and Be Merry. I'm not saying it's always going to be about alcoholic beverages, but most of the time it'll be about booze.
Okay.
But we'll talk about seasonal things, right? Halloween's coming up, maybe some spooky cocktails. We'll move into teas and coffees and smoothies, all those kinds of things. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about one of the things I love to do, which is read cookbooks in bed. So we have a segment called Cookbooks in Bed. And every episode, I'm going to review 3 of the new cookbooks that came into my library and let you know what they're all about.
And of course, being here at Dufresne, we've got a few beds to choose from.
That's right.
So one of the things we're doing today is to sort of figure out the logistics. I'm not sure how we're going to move from there to here and back and forth, but I mean, that it's live. It's live, baby. This is going to be live.
Well, I think, for you and I, one of the things that we sort of struggle with is we came from the era where, things were very planned out, right?
Yes.
And, you shot Polaroids in the studio before you actually took the picture on the 4x5 film. And so we're sort of used to that structure, right?
Yeah.
And we don't show anybody the sort of loose bits and the parts that go behind the scenes.
Right.
But in this case, because it is live, I think we're going to actually have the camera follow me through the store until I pick a bed that I like.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So
we'll
that's what's going to happen.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of wrap up. Our my thing here, the other thing I wanted to mention to anyone who's watching is I have a couple tickets to give away for Mo Mondays tonight. I don't know if anyone watching is familiar with Mo Mondays. It's an event that happens, I think, one Monday a month, where inspirational speakers get up and tell their story. I went for the first time last month and really enjoyed myself. Stephanie Staples is the host. She actually interviewed me about my 50 by 50 project for her CJOB show Living Out Loud, which I'm going to have to get you in touch with, Stephanie.
And that's how things work here in this city, guys.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Everybody knows everybody, so be nice to everybody.
So then I've got a couple tickets to give away tonight for the show. I believe it's at 7 p.m. over at Canada Inns in the Celebrations Dinner Theatre. If you're interested in those tickets, please comment below. I also invite everyone to search out Shel. She's tagged here in the post. Make sure that you follow her on Facebook. Her personal page is where we're going to be hosting this show next week.
Only because we haven't figured out how to really do this.
Well, yeah. Whether or not the show, we're still trying to figure all that out. But for this week, we're going to Shel's tagged in this post. Add her as your friend. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, before we go, let's talk about 50 by 50.
50 by 50 is my personal project. I think I'm at number 36 of 50 Tobins who are 50 years old.
Right, because Ian turned 50. This is all part of this trend up on it. The client showcase these 50 people. The website is 50 FIF.
Word 50 x 50 50 by 50. We're also 50 this evening about what it's like to reach that kind of milestone. So it's been a real interesting journey talking to everybody.
Yeah.
How we all sort of converged on this one point in time in our journey, in terms of the choices and decisions that we've made throughout our life, and also some of the wisdom that we've gained from that.
And sure, fantastic, super inspirational for me. The photography, of course, as always, blew me away. But it just and it really underlined all the things I was feeling about being posted. This little bit of breathing room, I think I would call it. Yeah. And that's sort of been the common theme, right? People have a little bit more time, maybe a little bit more money.
Yeah, definitely. So I started last October on my birthday. I've since I myself up for disaster with trying to do 1 year. When I doing the project till 50 profiles, like to about in the can, 30 published. So if you are 50 years old this year, if you're turning 50 this year, again, mention that in the comments. And if you're interested in being involved in the project and I'll explain more about it, and I'd love to talk to you about that as well.
That's it. So once again, tune in next Monday, 1 Central Standard Time on page, which is Shel's Alkwich. Easy to spell. You'll figure it out.
All right. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.
Oh, that was easy.